and then from government side, how do you also, from the social media side, how do you regulate them?
Yes.
It's first of all, sincerity. The government needs to be sincere.
Okay.
Because, like I said, every government, they don't like opposition. But then, on the side of the people, you know that behind every war there are agenda.
Yes.
All those Hutus and
Tutsi,
they have people. They had sponsors. It's those who died were not those who had agenda. Those who died were the guinea pigs that were used to achieve agenda. That's normally what. So, when I talk about national education, national enlightenment, and orientation, I'm talking about people, not people relying on what government is sending them in school, but being able to pass showing us the way. Personal research, you'll be able to and then the inside you also have as a person to let you know, to enable to be able to analyze and tell motives and motivations, so that you know when they are pushing, say, set up in a Yoruba nation, for example, when they're pushing set up Biafra, who are those behind it? What do they really want?
Yes.
Are they after my interest, your interest? Do they want is it church they're trying to protect or progress, or who is behind it? These are the issues, because sometimes this movement will look righteous and nice because for the most part people are being oppressed, so the people want to be free.
Yes.
But and these people, not all of them, some of these people who are so-called some freedom fighters are not really freedom fighters. They are selfish fighters who they already studied this. They know how to get the gullible people to just back the agenda. They know how to get young people to come out. And I'm not against any group at all. There are people that have genuine aspirations and genuine, what do you call it? Agitation. Yeah. There are. I mean, in Nigeria, for example, there's so much going on in Nigeria, so much oppression here and there. The Easterners are asking for Biafra since.
Yes.
You know, I'm not a Biafra, I'm a child of God, but I do know that there are so much injustice going on. But the question is, there are many people, many people who have stood up to say, well, I'm Mossab, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
So you need to know who these people, what do they represent? Do they really want this freedom for the good of the people, to the glory of God, or are they looking out for other interests that is selfish? Do you understand? Because people do have a right of self-determination. It's as simple as that. But those who are asking for it, is it what they really want? Or are they looking for other? We've seen several people who are activists. And the moment they get appointment from government, they are no more activists. But some of these guys, they haven't gone that way. So sometimes you wonder, maybe some of them are real and genuine and all of that. But like I said, there are still some excesses that needs to be curtailed. And I said sincerity on the side of the government. Because if you're banning social media, for example, or making laws against social media operations and users and all of that, what do you want to achieve? To shut down the people? Because a progressive government should also know that when you clamp down the people, you haven't made progress. Because then you're stifling ideas, you're stifling young people who are mostly the ones experiencing in those platforms and all of that. So it's the balance. When I say balance, and I said monopoly, that word, the government needs to sincerely come up with regulations that will deal with monopoly, because what monopoly does is that it opens the space. When UCOS was number one in Africa, it was fought by who? The big guys. Do you understand? Who are by the deep state? That's monopoly. That's what I'm talking about. But now, you know where the first king shot from. You get what I'm saying? So, the same way that everybody should what I said about in Nigerian's cases, they should let the president speak. They should let everybody else speak. Everybody should talk within the confines of the law. But for a private organization to tamper with the national sovereignty is a no-no for me.
It's a no-no.
Yes.
Okay, so now that you talked about some of the solutions on how to go about regulations, one of the major challenge that social media did pose were online falsehood when it comes to fake news. A lot of information were going out because people had the right to express themselves freely. Someone sits in his sitting room or someplace in the face of the earth and puts up an information, fire, outbreak, happening in so and so places. One of the major reasons why we've seen lawmakers in this country talk about adding social media under the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation to ensure that some of these excesses are being curtailed. Instead of adding or involving the online platforms under the NBC, are there other solutions that can be given to the lawmakers to ensure that this kind of things are being, corrected and curtailed?
A bit tricky. I couldn't quite think about this one, but what I would say is when there's a problem, because clearly there is a problem on both sides. On government sides, all I want is sincerity of purpose, sincerity of whatever I want to do, what exactly you want to achieve. But it's more difficult on the other side because, like you said, people just make up stories. And some of these stories can now become inciting, they can incite things that are not. Many people were killed during the SARS riot. Now, I don't know how many people were killed really. But those things, they have evoked so much emotions in people, and they're willing to do destructive things because of what they saw on Facebook and social media, many of which are not true. So what needs to be done? At this time, I'll just say we need to, as a people, sit down and think. Right now, I can't say do this or do that because you're dealing with controlling the people. It's about the people. It's hard for me to say make a law that would stop the people from expressing themselves. It's hard for me to say that. But there will need to be a better definition of what hate speech is. Or what, there's another one, when you want to deceive, or what falsehood is, beyond what they're defining it to be. Because now, hate speech and falsehood is defined by the government to be whatever goes against their narrative, and that's not acceptable at all. So that's why I say sincerity of purpose on the side of the government. So if we can define, and like I said, you really can't define this thing without God, without the Bible. It's not possible. So that's why I say this is the world. You always have imperfect situation because who is going to define it for them, and they will accept it. If Pastor Chris defines it for them, they will say what the Muslims say. You understand? If an imam defines it for us, some of us would say, I don't believe in the Quran. But we know that God is the one that would tell what a hate speech. I will know what hate speech is. I said whatever is out of love and uttered is a hate speech. And if it's based on the scripture, it's not hate speech. But even the scripture will be classified hate speech with time. It's already happening in some places.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I just want to say this because people are watching now, and so many young people, especially young ones, may be deceived. During the protest that happened in October last year, a lot of our young people were deceived. Thank God, a man of God spoke up on it and explained that anything that threatens national security or threatens the government will not be a part of it. It's the scheme of the left side to keep you under. And people began to realize that, it was an agenda. So sometimes people react first before they now think, before they post or before they say something, or they see a picture, or they see a video, broadcasts. A lot of falsehood is shared through broadcast messages. And the first thing you want to get is a reaction. People watching now, because this regulation involves real people with real minds that think and real people that analyze things. What's the first step we should do when it comes to this? Because the first thing every young person wants to do, this government is wicked. They don't want us to express ourselves. Now you're coming with another point of view to make us understand that, listen, wait, think, what's the agenda? Then fight and talk about it in a more sensible way that you'll be listened to. That's basically the summary of what you just said. And then that person out there that has a social media app that wants to just type anything and say, what a government, what kind of word? So how should we talk now? I feel that's the first solution we should do to tell our young people, our old people, everybody, how should we react to things that we see? Then how should we communicate on these social media apps?
You know that before I went to study, I first read mass communication, so I know a bit of. Yes. I know. The news that sells are sensational news. Yes. That's the beginning of all of this. People want to attract attention, sell their market, as it were. So whatever, if it sounds like dangerous, if it sounds outlandish, want to read it. But We have to, again, I said, this is the war. There's some things you can't change. We only do our best to educate people. You talked about what I said earlier, the motive of those behind. When you get, first of all, seek to inform. Seek to inform. There was one book I read one time, the man says, seek to understand. Seek to understand and seek to inform, not to sensationalize. You know, not to stir up. There are a lot of people who want to be informed, not want to fight. You know, because a lot of posts have led to so many deaths, and that's the truth. That's why a real government will really want to have some form of regulation. Because what the number one duty of the government is to protect lives and properties, and defend national and territorial integrity of the nation. That's their, so they have to do whatever it takes to protect these things. All right. So if you're out there watching, and you're looking at regulation of social, I cannot support regulating social media until people don't have freedom of speech. I said something earlier. Nigeria, for example, is a big nation. There's a thin line. What if you're looking at what happened between the president and the Twitter? Is a thin line between that control and then the balance I'm talking about. There's a balance. So even though like I said, I'm fully in support of Nigerian government on this one for one reason. But then we must be on the lookout for that excesses that government now capital use this one to you know, they want to set up a Nigerian social media. Fine, good, set up, but allow me to set up my own. You understand? So I can express myself. And government talk, allow me to talk. That's it. As long as we're within the confines of the law. Okay, if Twitter wakes up tomorrow and signs that we will not remove our president's speech again, restart them back to Nigeria. I have no issue with Twitter. But as long as they work with their agenda of controlling those they want to control because of their own, come on, it's that's what it is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Like you rightly said, there is a manner to communicate, which is seek to inform.
Seek to understand.
Seek to understand. Don't be quick, like Sophia said, you get a broadcast, you just share it. You see people say, 10 people dead in so and so. On fire, no. Seek to inform. And even when those informations get to you, your first reaction is to do your due diligence study to find out how true is this information that you have received via a broadcast. I remember when some of those things happened, we saw that some of the videos that were showing several killings were videos of 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that people were digging out just to stir people to cause violence. Don't be part of that generation that is inciting violence. And like our guest rightly said today, anything that is done out of love is hate speech. And trust me, God is love. And everything that proceeds out of him should be love. And I'm sure that you're of God. And everything that proceeds out of you should be love.